lot of improvement this week from where he was last week for Benson. What do you think of his performance tonight?
Well, commanded the strike. So, I mean, that was the biggest thing last week, where his walks really hurt him. I thought that, just the improvement of pitching aggressively in the zone was probably the biggest thing for him tonight.
When you see this much of a jump between one week and another with a freshman pitcher, what does that say about his ability to kind of bounce back from struggling just 1 week earlier, especially as a freshman?
Well, I mean, it might have been you. They asked me, why is he on Friday? Because he's good. I mean, he's a good. I don't know. It may not have been you, but he's a good pitcher. So you expect good pitchers to be able to make adjustments, and he's been very consistent for us up to this point. So it's not. We're not looking at it like this big back and forth. He had kind of an uncharacteristic outing last week and was himself this week. So it's not. I don't look at it as a huge discrepancy in his performance, because we're looking at a much broader sample size.
Can you talk a bit about that stretch in the bottom of the fourth when you guys put up 8 runs, and what was that like, and having to get, you guys went through the entire lineup?
Yeah, well, I mean, a lot of it was, they were struggling with the strike zone, and I've been on the other side of that, so I feel the pain on that. But our guys put together some good ABs, and were patient and took the walks that we needed to take. But it was good to stretch one out, because we wanted to get some of those other guys in there. So that I was glad to see that.
Is that kind of what you were waiting for, to see some of those new arms this season?
Yeah, I mean, there's when you're talking about roles in pitching, it's not just your starters and then your closer. There's also guys that you're looking at in a game where you're either up a little bit or up big, where you do the hold, where you can save. Because we've met pretty much every pitch up to this point has been a high stress pitch, and so we're still looking to define some of those other roles, the hold, stuff like that. So it's good tonight to take a look at some of those guys. Yeah, we've been kind of waiting for that.
Cooper wasn't the only freshman to have a good outing tonight. Can you kind of talk about Seth recording that first career RBI and what that means for him going forward?
Yeah, I mean, it was he. It's funny because people think opportunity sometimes just comes in games. So, our guys presented, if you're not pitching a lot on the weekends or in the competitive situations where everybody else sees it, we do simulated games. And the simulated games for us are a chance, and for the athlete is a chance to make an impression. And the guys that you saw tonight pitch have done well in their simulated games and have earned that right. So Seth, where I was very proud of him, and I told him that after his practice simulated game, was you treated that like it was important, because it is. And so he earned that right to get out there tonight. It was good to see him have some success, because when you do that and you stack those on top of each other, it earns more opportunities.
It's early, but Drew Swift has really demonstrated a lot of improvement at the plate from where he was last year to where he is right now. What have you seen from him?
He's really concentrating on his approach. I mean, staying with who he is. Everybody can't be Spencer Torkelson, and I think he's doing a really, really good job of staying on top of the ball and stay within himself. So, it's good to see him get results when he's really, really worked at it too.
How important is it to have a guy like that in the middle to bottom third of the lineup that can produce the way he is, to kind of level the playing field from where you don't go from your top 4 to guys that aren't getting on base?
Yeah, he gives you a mature at bat, down towards that. If he's getting on base, he's a good base runner. He can make some things happen too. So it's nice to have him down in there.
It seemed like there were a lot of pass balls by Nebraska tonight, and opportunities to steal bases and get extra bases. How important do you think that was tonight?
Well, I mean, anytime, every 90 feet is important. When you do that, it increases your chances to win. And that's why, this is just one of those games. Like I said, I've been on the other side of that, so we're not going to, it's not going to be that easy tomorrow. We know that. They're going to throw good arms the rest of the way. They scratched, I'm not sure why. They scratched their projected starter. I don't know what happened there. So they were trying to get through tonight, but we're putting this one away. We have plenty of things we can work on coming out of this thing, but it is not going to be that easy. We got to put it away and now refocus and get ready for what I will anticipate will be a much sharper performance by them on the mound, because once you get to a certain point, you hold back your better guys too. So we haven't seen their best arms yet, and I'm sure we will tomorrow.
Is there anything that the team needs to improve on from tonight and tomorrow in particular that you think, or do you think everything went well?
We did some mental things tonight that we have to we got to make sure that we take care of that, because you can get away with it tonight when your opposition's struggling a little bit on the mound, but when you're in a 1 or 2 run game, some of the things that we did tonight, quite frankly, could get you beat. So, we will address that and have addressed that, and we'll work on that.
There was a sequence where Gage Workman foul tipped a ball and it was almost caught by their catcher, but he wasn't able to hold on to it, and then he roped a double to right field. How much improvement have you seen from him over the last couple games, and especially tonight?
Well, baseball's a game of adjustments, and he's starting to make some of those adjustments and understanding how guys are going to pitch him. So it's good. We need him to get going because he's right there in the middle of the order, and we know he's a good hitter. He's been a good hitter for 2 years, so I think he's, hopefully that's a good little jump start for him.
In your experience, have you ever had a staff of freshman pitchers, whether that be starters or relievers, that have been so successful and so heavily relied upon this early in the season?
Yeah, I mean, I'm an old man. I've had many a staff, so but it's good to see that. I still say, there's no limit on that. You can be good. What's our guy Mahomes just won the Super Bowl, right? But yeah, it's nice to see those guys pitching aggressively, and when you have that, it makes everybody step up. It makes everybody contribute and have to bring your best game, because we've got a lot more arms this year, a lot more options, and like any competitive program, we don't make the lineup, or we don't make the pitching where guys show what they can do. So it's good to see guys really competing. And you pointed out some of the young ones. I mean, sometimes I think it's easier to do it when you're young because you don't really know what's going on. And then some guys, maybe the pressure piece of it makes them perform differently. But we've got a good collection of guys that, those roles are going to change and evolve as we continue to go. But I like what I'm seeing so far.
This was Bodlovich's 4th appearance of the year, and again, it was scoreless, and it seemed like he just throws strikes and really gets to the outing. How impressed are you with him?
Well, there's always a role for a strike thrower. And I think that's probably, if you look at his overall quote-unquote stuff, it may not be as high a velocity or whatever, but he's going to make you beat him. And so when you're managing a pitcher or a pitching staff, you want to know, who are you? What am I going to get out of you? You said it. He's a reliable strike thrower. There's a role for that. So I think we're going to have some leads this year. And if he can go in and throw strikes and let that good defense work behind him, he's going to be a valuable contributor for us.
What's the most valuable characteristic of the freshmen in this pitching staff?
What's that? What do you mean?
Like, what do you think that they as a group have demonstrated to you that you've really been impressed with, whether that be their just the toughness or the ability to throw strikes?
Yeah,
what is it about them?
I would say some of the fearlessness, that they get in there and they're going to kind of let it, not let the stage bother them. So, and each time they have success, that just builds and builds, and so I'm proud of them for that.